I remember the first time you smiled, like you were the sun pretending not to know it warms the world. It was the kind of moment that changed the weather inside me. We were young enough to believe in always, wild enough to chase it barefoot through midnight streets, hearts pounding like drums we never learned to stop. You said my name like it meant something more than just letters, and I believed you. We made a cathedral out of silence, lit by glances, touched like prayers. I never knew love could be loud without saying a word, and you, God, you were a language I studied like holy scripture. I memorized the sound of you, the rhythm, the pause, the way you blinked when you were lying, and the soft catch in your voice when you said you missed me. I drank from you like water in a dry season. We were beautiful and reckless, and I thought that meant we were eternal. But I didn't know that sometimes, even the most perfect fire has to burn out before it burns you alive. You started pulling away in pieces too small for me to notice. First it was the space between your words. Then it was the way you no longer looked up when I entered a room. You touched me like you were trying to remember something instead of feel it. I told myself it was a phase, that even the sun needs clouds sometimes. But your eyes no longer saw me. They saw through me. I could feel myself disappearing, and you didn't even blink. It's strange how someone can be so much a part of you that when they go quiet, it feels like your own heart has forgotten how to beat. I clung to every I love you like a life raft, even when it came wrapped in routine, stripped of its meaning. I kept reaching for you in the dark, and all I found was cold sheets and silence. They say love never dies, but they never tell you how it fades, like mist, like breath on glass. You stopped being mine long before we stopped being us, and I pretended not to notice, because I wasn't ready to lose you. There were nights when I sat by the window, waiting for a text that never came. Nights when I rehearsed arguments in my head, words sharpened into weapons, only to swallow them whole when you walked in. You smiled like everything was fine, and I smiled back like I believed you. That's the thing about breaking quietly, it doesn't echo. We lived in the same house but different worlds. I knew your favorite coffee, your favorite song, the way your laugh skipped at the end of a joke, but I couldn't remember the last time you shared anything real. We used to talk until dawn, now we barely exchanged grocery lists. I wondered if someone else had taken my place in your mind, if someone else now held the version of you that once belonged to me. I never asked. I was too afraid of the answer. Instead, I became an expert at pretending. Pretending that your distance didn't hurt, that your silence wasn't loud, that I wasn't slowly forgetting what it felt like to be loved by you. We were still together, but we were no longer us. The day it ended, it didn't come with a storm. No slamming doors, no shouted words. Just a quiet you and a quieter me, sitting across a table pretending we were still who we used to be. You looked at me like I was a memory you hadn't decided to keep. And I looked at you like the ending I never saw coming. You said it wasn't working, that we'd grown apart, that we weren't the same people anymore. And maybe you were right. Maybe love, no matter how deep, can't always bridge the gap between who we were and who we've become. I wanted to scream, to beg, to remind you of all the promises, the late night whispers, the plans we made under stars we swore were ours. But all I said was, okay. Because what do you say when the person you love no longer chooses you? Sometimes love isn't a war, it's a quiet surrender. A white flag wrapped in the last kiss. And that's how we ended. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. Not in hate, but in heartbreak. After you left, I kept finding pieces of you in everything. In songs we used to dance to, in the mug you always used, in the way I still checked my phone out of habit. It's funny how someone can be gone and still everywhere. I'd hear your name in places I didn't expect, and it would hit me like a wave, sharp, sudden, pulling me under. I'd lie awake replaying conversations, wondering if there was something I could have said, something I could have done differently. Guilt is a cruel ghost, it haunts you with what-ifs. But love is worse. It lingers like perfume on old clothes, like warmth on a pillow. You don't just miss the person, you miss the version of you that existed with them. I missed who I was when I loved you. I missed the dreams we wrapped ourselves in, the way we believed we were unbreakable. And maybe we were, once. Before the cracks, before the silence, before we learned that sometimes loving someone doesn't mean keeping them. It just means letting them go without losing yourself. There were moments I wanted to call you, just to hear your voice, just to pretend we were still okay. I'd write messages I never sent, pour my heart into them, then delete them before they reached you. Because deep down, I knew you'd moved on. I knew you'd moved on. I knew you no longer thought of me when it rained, no longer saved songs for me, no longer wondered how I was, and still I held on, to memories, to the way you once looked at me, to the illusion that maybe just maybe you'd come back. But time is a relentless teacher, and healing is its cruelest lesson. It doesn't ask for permission, it just begins, slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up and realize you didn't think of them the moment you opened your eyes. That your laughter isn't wrapped in guilt, that you can listen to that song and smile instead of cry. Healing isn't forgetting, it's remembering without breaking, it's loving without longing. And I'm getting there, one breath, one step, one memory at a time. I won't pretend I don't still think about you. Some nights you return in dreams like unfinished poems, like stories I never got to finish. And maybe that's all we are now, a story with no final chapter. But I've stopped trying to rewrite the ending. I've stopped searching for closure in old conversations and half-kept promises. The truth is, some endings are meant to stay open. Some people are meant to be lessons, not lifelines. And you were my greatest lesson. You taught me how deeply I could love, how much I could give, how far I could fall. And even though it hurt, even though it left scars, I don't regret a single moment. Because loving you made me real. It made me brave. It showed me that I'm capable of passion so fierce, it still echoes through my bones. So no, I won't forget you. But I also won't wait for you. I'm moving forward carrying only what made me stronger. The rest, the pain, the doubts, the silence, I'm leaving behind. This is how we ended. And this is how I begin again.